Hey guys, tonight we're diving into something that's equal parts fascinating and a little mind-blowing, the origins of matcha. I know what you're thinking, green tea, right? Sure, we all know matcha as that trendy, health-packed powder you sprinkle on smoothies or sip in lattes, but let me tell you, matcha has a much deeper history, and its origins might surprise you. We're talking about ancient rituals, a whole lot of powdered leaves and, well, some dark, unexpected twists along the way. The thing is, we all associate matcha with Japan these days, but its roots are deeply planted in China. In fact, it was in China where powdered tea first emerged long before it became the matcha we know and love today. So, before we get into it, make sure to hit that like button if you're as obsessed with weird history as I am. And don't forget to subscribe, especially if you want to keep uncovering more bizarre and fascinating facts. And hey, drop a comment below to let me know where you're tuning in from. We always love hearing from you night owls. All right, time to dim the lights, get cozy, and let's travel back to a time when tea wasn't just a beverage, but a tool for spiritual enlightenment, a symbol of social status, and a whole lot more. Chapter 1. The birth of matcha, ancient China, and the Tang dynasty. We're setting the scene in ancient China, in the midst of the Tang dynasty. Imagine walking through a bustling city, streets lined with market vendors, street performers, and the scent of incense filling the air. The air is warm, the chatter is endless, and in the middle of it all, people are sipping tea. It's nothing like the matcha we know today, though. In fact, it's not even close. Tea had already been around in China for centuries by the time the Tang dynasty came into power, but back then it wasn't the finely powdered green wonder we all associate with wellness trends today. Instead, tea was consumed in a variety of ways, mostly brewed from leaves that were either dried or pressed into cakes. But that's where things start to get interesting, because powdered tea was slowly beginning to take shape, and it would soon evolve into something much more powerful, both spiritually and socially. At first, the powdered form of tea wasn't about health benefits or trendy aesthetics. It was about survival, more specifically, spiritual survival. Let's step into the shoes of a Buddhist monk. These monks were constantly seeking ways to enhance their meditation practice, staying awake and alert during long hours of chanting, prayer, and reflection. The ability to concentrate deeply was considered a vital part of their spiritual journey, but long hours of meditation could often lead to fatigue and their minds would wander. To combat this, they needed something that gave them a boost without distracting them. Regular tea wasn't enough. They needed something stronger, something that could enhance their awareness without leaving them jittery or unfocused. Enter powdered tea. Instead of simply steeping tea leaves, monks would grind those leaves into a fine powder and mix it with hot water. The result? A much stronger, more concentrated brew that gave the drinker an energy boost. But it wasn't just about waking up, it was about achieving a deep state of focus, a state of balance that allowed for heightened meditation. In the monk's world, powdered tea wasn't a casual indulgence, it was a ritualistic tool designed for enlightenment. This is where the real magic began. Imagine sitting in a quiet temple surrounded by incense smoke and the faint chanting of monks. You close your eyes, take a deep breath, and prepare for a long period of silent contemplation. As you prepare your tea, you carefully whisk the powder into the water, watching it swirl into a bright green froth. This isn't just about the drink, it's about the experience, the feeling of connection to something greater than yourself. The monks realized that the act of preparing the tea, the slow whisking, and the mindful drinking was a form of meditation in itself. It wasn't just the tea that helped them maintain focus. It was the entire process, the calm, intentional movements that helped ground them in the present moment. This deep spiritual connection would later be a key feature of the Japanese tea ceremony, which would take the practice to a whole new level. Back then, powdered tea wasn't refined at all. Imagine, instead of sipping a delicate, finely ground powder mixed with warm water, you'd be drinking something that was a lot rougher. Perhaps even more like crushed tea leaves than what you'd recognize as matcha today. But it was enough for the monks to find the focus and clarity they sought. And those same monks from the Tang dynasty started to refine the process. They discovered that tea wasn't just a drink, it was a meditation tool, something that could help connect the mind and body, calm the spirit, and bring peace and clarity to the chaos of the world. So, in the monasteries, the process of grinding tea into powder became more deliberate, more refined. This wasn't just about caffeine or taste, it was about spiritual balance. As the tea grounds became finer and more uniform, its impact grew stronger, and its place in Chinese culture became more significant. It wasn't long before tea drinking began to spread beyond the monasteries. What started as a practice of monks seeking enlightenment soon found its way into the courts of the elite. Imagine being part of the aristocracy in the Tang dynasty, surrounded by scholars and intellectuals who wanted to add a touch of sophistication to their lives. Tea, particularly powdered tea, was a status symbol, a way to show that you were part of the cultural elite. But powdered tea wasn't just about social status, it was also about the quality of life. The aristocrats were drawn to the ceremonial aspects of tea, the quiet, refined rituals that surrounded it. Tea wasn't something to be drunk casually, it was something to be savoured, something to be respected. The preparation of powdered tea required a level of skill, patience and dedication that symbolized the values of the ruling class, refinement, knowledge and an appreciation for the finer things in life. Powdered tea wasn't just for the wealthy and powerful, though. While the elites sipped their carefully prepared bowls of tea, intellectuals, poets and scholars saw it as an opportunity for deep thought and reflection. The idea that tea could be a stimulant for the mind, not just the body, resonated with them. Tea became more than a drink. It was a companion for intellectual pursuits. As tea culture spread throughout China, powdered tea began to play a central role in discussions on philosophy, art and politics. And it wasn't just about the drink itself, it was about what the drink represented. Tea, especially powdered tea, became a bridge between the intellectual elite and the spiritual world. It symbolized a connection between nature, mind and body. The drinker wasn't just sipping to quench thirst, they were participating in a profound meditative experience that elevated their consciousness and, by extension, their place in society. As powdered tea gained more popularity, it became more than just a drink, it became an event. Tea ceremonies, though not yet like the Japanese tea ceremonies that would come later, began to take shape. The preparation of tea became something of an art form, something that required skill, patience, and a certain level of cultural refinement. The drinker wasn't just sipping to quench thirst. They were participating in a cultural ritual that signified their place in society. But let's backtrack a bit. Powdered tea wasn't just about social status, it was also about something deeper. There was a belief in China that tea had the power to restore balance to the body, to harmonize the body's energies. Monks, intellectuals, and even aristocrats all believed that consuming powdered tea could help align the body's natural rhythm with the universe. It was as if each sip was a small act of communion with nature, a way to find balance in a world that often felt out of control. Tea drinking, especially powdered tea, became intertwined with spiritual and philosophical practices. It became something sacred, something that transcended the everyday hustle and bustle of life. This was not a simple drink. It was a way of life, a path to mindfulness, and a bridge between the spiritual and the material. But here's the twist. This form of tea wasn't exclusive to China forever. Sure, it had started there, but the story of powdered tea wasn't going to stay confined to China's borders. As time passed, powdered tea would eventually make its way to Japan, where it would undergo even more refinement, more evolution, and eventually transform into the matcha we know today. The humble powdered tea had evolved from a monk's meditative drink into a cultural phenomenon, one that would travel across seas, undergo a transformation, and become the drink we associate with health and wellness today. But that transformation didn't stop at the borders of China. The journey of powdered tea was just getting started. Media Group Chapter 2, Matcha's Journey to Japan, the Zen Influence. Now we're crossing an ocean, heading east to a land where powdered tea is going to get a whole new twist, Japan. And trust me, things are about to get way more interesting. By the time powdered tea had made its way to Japan, it had already evolved into something of a cultural symbol in China. However, Japan had something unique brewing. While the practice of drinking powdered tea had found its place in the hands of the elite in China, it was in Japan where tea would take on a new spiritual depth. What began as a functional spiritual tool for Chinese monks became central to Japanese Zen Buddhist practices, and ultimately society at large. But before we get into Japan's matcha revolution, let's rewind a bit and talk about how tea made its journey across the sea to Japan in the first place. Spoiler, it wasn't a casual trip, and it had a much more profound significance than just being a cultural import. Tea made its way to Japan during the early 9th century, carried across the sea by Buddhist monks who had spent time in China. These monks were key players in the transmission of Buddhist teachings and rituals, which at that time included meditation practices that were reinforced by the consumption of tea. The monks didn't just bring over a drink. They carried with them a philosophy and a lifestyle that would eventually shape Japan's tea culture for centuries to come. Tea, in its powdered form, wasn't just a casual part of life for these monks. It was a way of enhancing meditation, a tool for achieving a higher level of focus and mental clarity. For the monks, tea wasn't a luxury. It was a means of spiritual survival. The concentrated powder offered an intense caffeine kick without the jitteriness often associated with other stimulants. And what's more, tea, for these monks, was a meditative practice in and of itself. The very act of preparing the tea, whisking it into a frothy green potion, was a ritual that connected them to something greater. But Japan wasn't exactly ready for the full-blown tea ceremony just yet. Initially, powdered tea made its way to Japan's monasteries, used by the monks in a way similar to how it was utilized in China. Early tea consumption in Japan remained, for the most part, a niche practice primarily among monks and intellectuals, many of whom sought to deepen their meditative focus and clarity. However, this is where the Zen influence comes in. This is where matcha, as we know it, began to emerge. Zen Buddhism, with its emphasis on mindfulness, discipline and simplicity, created the perfect environment for matcha to evolve into something far more than just a tea. Zen monks weren't just about philosophy, they were about direct experience, and that direct experience would come through tea. The Zen monks were all about seeking clarity in the simplest of things. They believed that in the simplest, most basic actions, like preparing a bowl of tea, they could find enlightenment. Every moment, every gesture had purpose. With matcha, this mindfulness reached its peak. The preparation of matcha became, in its purest form, a meditative ritual. The tea was never consumed casually. Every movement from whisking to sipping was purposeful, deliberate, and steeped in the tradition of Zen practice. Imagine sitting in a dimly lit room surrounded by the fragrance of wood and incense. The only sound is the soft brush of the bamboo whisk against the surface of a bowl. With every turn of the wrist, the green powder mixes into the hot water, transforming into a frothy, smooth, green drink. This wasn't just about drinking tea. It was about creating space for peace, mindfulness, and spiritual alignment. The Zen monks believed that in preparing and drinking tea in such a deliberate, focused way, they could experience a higher state of awareness. As the years passed, this deeply spiritual and mindful approach to tea spread beyond the monasteries. The beauty and serenity of the tea preparation found its way to the samurai class, and they quickly adopted it. Now, you might be thinking, the samurai and tea, isn't that a little odd? Well, not really. The samurai were known for their strict codes of honor and discipline, their intense focus, and the mental clarity required for their line of work. For these warriors, the mindful practice of preparing and drinking matcha was not just an act of relaxation, it was a method of sharpening their minds, focusing their energy and maintaining their composure before battle. In a world where combat and war were a constant, the samurai needed every advantage they could get, and matcha gave them that. It wasn't just about staying awake, it was about staying centered, calm and prepared for whatever came their way. As the samurai embraced matcha, they helped to cement the beverage's place in Japanese society. Tea drinking, especially matcha, was no longer a secret practice reserved for monks or the elite. It was becoming a cultural touchstone. And by the time we enter the 15th century, matcha was well on its way to becoming a national tradition, with its ritualistic preparations now at the heart of the tea ceremony. This brings us to a key figure in Japan's tea history. Senno Rikyu, a tea master in the 16th century who is widely considered the father of the Japanese tea ceremony. Rikyu took the Zen approach to tea and made it even more integral to Japanese society. Unlike previous tea ceremonies that were exclusive to the elite or only practiced in temples, Rikyu believed that the tea ceremony and the preparation of matcha should be accessible to everyone. His mission was clear: make the tea ceremony a humble, simple practice that anyone could partake in, regardless of social class. Through Rikyu's innovations, matcha was no longer just a symbol of high status or warrior readiness. It became a universal practice, a moment of peace that anyone could experience. He emphasized the concept of wabi-sabi, which values simplicity, imperfection, and the beauty of the natural world. The tea ceremony, in Rikyu's vision, became a way for people to connect with nature and each other. The process of preparing and drinking matcha became a shared experience that celebrated the fleeting beauty of life, encouraging participants to slow down and savor the moment. Rikyu's approach completely changed the way people interacted with matcha. It was no longer something consumed only for its stimulating effects. It was a deeply spiritual, aesthetic practice. The simplicity of the tea ceremony encouraged reflection, humility, and an appreciation for the present moment. It wasn't just a ritual. It was a profound act of mindfulness. With Rikyu's influence, matcha became something sacred, a tool for enhancing one's spiritual life and connecting with nature. He helped solidify its role in Japanese culture, and in doing so made matcha a central part of everyday life. No longer confined to elite gatherings or Buddhist monasteries, matcha was now available to anyone seeking peace and mindfulness. The impact of matcha in Japan was profound and lasting. It was no longer just a drink, it became a lifestyle, a philosophy, and a cultural cornerstone. The Zen monks, samurai, intellectuals, and even the common people all found meaning in matcha. Through the simplicity and focus of its preparation, matcha became a practice of stillness and clarity, offering a rare opportunity for reflection in a world that was anything but still. By the time of Sen no Rikyu, the Japanese tea ceremony had become a spiritual and cultural institution, one that would continue to shape Japan's relationship with tea for centuries to come. Matcha wasn't just a drink anymore, it was a way of life, an art form and an expression of Japanese culture's deep connection to nature, mindfulness, and simplicity. Now, with matcha deeply woven into the fabric of Japanese society, we'll see how its influence spread across the world. But before we move into the modern era, it's essential to understand how Japan transformed matcha into a cultural phenomenon. Let's dive into the evolution of matcha, its spread, and its eventual embrace as a global sensation. See Stocky Distribute Equally, Media Group 7. Chapter 2, Matcha's Journey to Japan, the Zen Influence. Now we're crossing an ocean heading east to a land where powdered tea is going to get a whole new twist, Japan. And trust me, things are about to get way more interesting. By the time powdered tea had made its way to Japan, it had already evolved into something of a cultural symbol in China. However, Japan had something unique brewing. While the practice of drinking powdered tea had found its place in the hands of the elite in China, it was in Japan where tea would take on a new spiritual depth. What began as a functional, spiritual tool for Chinese monks became central to Japanese Zen Buddhist practices, and ultimately society at large. But before we get into Japan's matcha revolution, let's rewind a bit and talk about how tea made its journey across the sea to Japan in the first place. Spoiler, it wasn't a casual trip, and it had a much more profound significance than just being a cultural import. Tea made its way to Japan during the early 9th century, carried across the sea by Buddhist monks who'd spent time in China. These monks were key players in the transmission of Buddhist teachings and rituals, which, at that time, included meditation practices that were reinforced by the consumption of tea. The monks didn't just bring over a drink, they carried with them a philosophy and a lifestyle that would eventually shape Japan's tea culture for centuries to come. Tea, in its powdered form, wasn't just a casual part of life for these monks, it was a way of enhancing meditation, a tool for achieving a higher level of focus and mental clarity. For the monks, tea wasn't a luxury, it was a means of spiritual survival. The concentrated powder offered an intense caffeine kick without the jitteriness often associated with other stimulants, and what's more, tea, for these monks, was a meditative practice in and of itself. The very act of preparing the tea, whisking it into a frothy green potion, was a ritual that connected them to something greater. But Japan wasn't exactly ready for the full-blown tea ceremony just yet. Initially, powdered tea made its way to Japan's monasteries, used by the monks in a way similar to how it was utilized in China. Early tea consumption in Japan remained for the most part a niche practice primarily among monks and intellectuals, many of whom sought to deepen their meditative focus and clarity. However, this is where the Zen influence comes in. This is where matcha, as we know it, began to emerge. Zen Buddhism, with its emphasis on mindfulness, discipline, and simplicity, created the perfect environment for matcha to evolve into something far more than just a tea. Zen monks weren't just about philosophy, they were about direct experience, and that direct experience would come through tea. The Zen monks were all about seeking clarity in the simplest of things. They believed that in the simplest, most basic actions, like preparing a bowl of tea, they could find enlightenment. Every moment, every gesture had purpose. With matcha, this mindfulness reached its peak. The preparation of matcha became, in its purest form, a meditative ritual. The tea was never consumed casually. Every movement, from whisking to sipping, was purposeful, deliberate, and steeped in the tradition of Zen practice. Imagine sitting in a dimly lit room surrounded by the fragrance of wood and incense. The only sound is the soft brush of the bamboo whisk against the surface of a bowl. With every turn of the wrist, the green powder mixes into the hot water, transforming into a frothy, smooth green drink. This wasn't just about drinking tea, it was about creating space for peace, mindfulness, and spiritual alignment. The Zen monks believed that in preparing and drinking tea in such a deliberate, focused way, they could experience a higher state of awareness. As the years passed, this deeply spiritual and mindful approach to tea spread beyond the monasteries. The beauty and serenity of the tea preparation found its way to the samurai class, and they quickly adopted it. Now, you might be thinking, the samurai and tea? Isn't that a little odd? Well, not really. The samurai were known for their strict codes of honor and discipline, their intense focus, and the mental clarity required for their line of work. For these warriors, the mindful practice of preparing and drinking matcha was not just an act of relaxation. It was a method of sharpening their minds, focusing their energy, and maintaining their composure before battle. In a world where combat and war were a constant, the samurai needed every advantage they could get, and matcha gave them that. It wasn't just about staying awake, it was about staying centered, calm, and prepared for whatever came their way. As the samurai embraced matcha, they helped to cement the beverage's place in Japanese society. Tea drinking, especially matcha, was no longer a secret practice reserved for monks or the elite. It was becoming a cultural touchstone. And by the time we entered the 15th century, matcha was well on its way to becoming a national tradition, with its ritualistic preparations now at the heart of the tea ceremony. This brings us to a key figure in Japan's tea history, Senno Rikyu, a tea master in the 16th century who is widely considered the father of the Japanese tea ceremony. Rikyu took the Zen approach to tea and made it even more integral to Japanese society. Unlike previous tea ceremonies that were exclusive to the elite or only practiced in temples, Rikyu believed that the tea ceremony and the preparation of matcha should be accessible to everyone. His mission was clear. Make the tea ceremony a humble, simple practice that anyone could partake in, regardless of social class. Through Rikyu's innovations, matcha was no longer just a symbol of high status or warrior readiness. It became a universal practice, a moment of peace that anyone could experience. He emphasized the concept of wabi-sabi, which values simplicity, imperfection, and the beauty of the natural world. The tea ceremony, in Rikyu's vision, became a way for people to connect with nature and each other. The process of preparing and drinking matcha became a shared experience that celebrated the fleeting beauty of life, encouraging participants to slow down and savor the moment. Rikyu's approach completely changed the way people interacted with matcha. It was no longer something consumed only for its stimulating effects. It was a deeply spiritual, aesthetic practice. The simplicity of the tea ceremony encouraged reflection, humility, and an appreciation for the present moment. It wasn't just a ritual, it was a profound act of mindfulness. With Rikyu's influence, matcha became something sacred, a tool for enhancing one's spiritual life and connecting with nature. He helped solidify its role in Japanese culture, and in doing so, made matcha a central part of everyday life. No longer confined to elite gatherings or Buddhist monasteries, matcha was now available to anyone seeking peace and mindfulness. The impact of matcha in Japan was profound and lasting. It was no longer just a drink, it became a lifestyle, a philosophy, and a cultural cornerstone. The Zen monks, samurai, intellectuals, and even the common people all found meaning in matcha. Through the simplicity and focus of its preparation, matcha became a practice of stillness and clarity, offering a rare opportunity for reflection in a world that was anything but still. By the time of Senno Rikyu, the Japanese tea ceremony had become a spiritual and cultural institution. one that would continue to shape Japan's relationship with tea for centuries to come. Matcha wasn't just a drink anymore. It was a way of life, an art form, and an expression of Japanese culture's deep connection to nature, mindfulness, and simplicity. Now, with matcha deeply woven into the fabric of Japanese society, we'll see how its influence spread across the world. But before we move into the modern era, it's essential to understand how Japan transformed matcha into a cultural phenomenon. Let's dive into the evolution of matcha, its spread, and its eventual embrace as a global sensation. Chapter 3. The globalization of matcha, from Japanese aristocracy to worldwide phenomenon. Now that we've followed matcha's transformation from humble powdered tea in ancient China to a deeply spiritual practice in Japan, it's time to take a step back and look at how this unique green powder made its way from the monasteries of Zen Buddhists to your local coffee shop. The road to matcha's global popularity didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't all smooth sailing. Trust me, it's a fascinating journey full of surprises. While matcha was well embedded in Japanese culture by the 15th century, it remained for the most part a beverage reserved for the aristocracy, intellectuals, and the samurai class. It was a symbol of wealth, power, and spiritual depth. Essentially, the matcha drinkers were the VIPs of Japanese society. The tea ceremony, rooted in Zen Buddhist philosophy, was still an elite practice that required specific knowledge and skills, from the careful preparation of matcha to the ritual of sipping it in a precisely ordered manner. It wasn't the kind of thing you'd pick up casually on your lunch break. This was tea as a spiritual experience, and it was meant to be savored. But that all began to change in the 20th century when matcha took its first steps onto the global stage. This wasn't just about bringing a drink from one culture to another. This was the beginning of matcha's reinvention as a global phenomenon, a health trend, a wellness craze, and even a symbol of social consciousness. As we enter the 20th century, Japan's influence on the world had already begun to grow. After centuries of relative isolation, the Meiji Restoration in the late 1800s marked the start of Japan's modernization and engagement with the wider world. With the rise of international trade, cultural exchange flourished, and Japan's unique traditions, including tea culture, began to pique the curiosity of people worldwide. But it wasn't until the post-World War II era that matcha began its slow and steady climb into the global spotlight. The first seeds of matcha's international recognition were planted during the 1960s and 1970s, when Japan became an increasingly popular travel destination. Tourists, drawn to Japan's rich cultural heritage, were introduced to the country's centuries-old tea traditions. Tea ceremonies became a key attraction for foreigners looking to experience Japanese culture firsthand. But matcha, as it was served in its traditional form, prepared in a bowl with a bamboo whisk, remained a niche offering, appreciated mostly by connoisseurs or those seeking an authentic experience. However, what changed during this time was the growing international interest in health and wellness. The post-war period saw a worldwide boom in fitness culture, with people becoming more conscious of what they were putting into their bodies. The Japanese diet, with its emphasis on whole natural ingredients, was gaining recognition for its health benefits. Sushi, miso soup, and other Japanese food staples began popping up on restaurant menus in cities across the world. Matcha, as an integral part of Japanese cuisine, slowly started to get noticed, but it wasn't yet the green latte you'd see today. By the 1990s, the global health food movement had reached its peak, and matcha found itself perfectly positioned to capitalize on this new wave of wellness culture. With the advent of the internet and the rise of social media in the 2000s, people around the world began to hear about matcha's purported health benefits. But this wasn't just some passing food trend. Matcha was being embraced by health enthusiasts, fitness gurus, and nutritionists for its rich antioxidant content, its ability to boost energy without the jitters of coffee, and its numerous benefits to mental clarity and focus. Matcha became synonymous with clean eating. If you were a part of the wellness community, it was almost a badge of honor to drink matcha. The powdered green tea was now being sold in health food stores and added to smoothies, juices, protein shakes, and even desserts. It wasn't just about a cup of tea anymore. It was about the lifestyle. Matcha was being promoted not just for its taste or spiritual significance, but for its ability to improve health, aid weight loss, and provide a natural energy boost. What made matcha stand out from other health foods was the fact that it was so much more than just a supplement or a quick fix. Unlike most pre-packaged health drinks, matcha had a deep cultural and spiritual history, and people found that intriguing. As they learned about matcha's origins in ancient China and its adoption in Japanese Zen Buddhist practices, they began to view it as more than just a superfood. They saw it as a gateway to mindfulness, balance, and focus. The cultural context added an element of mystery and allure, making matcha not just a health trend but a lifestyle choice. By the 2010s, matcha had fully broken into the mainstream. Starbucks introduced its matcha latte, and suddenly, matcha was no longer just something for health-conscious enthusiasts or those seeking an authentic Japanese experience. It was something you could casually order at a coffee shop on your lunch break. This shift marked a significant moment in matcha's journey to global recognition. It was no longer confined to health food stores and specialty cafes. It was now a mainstream beverage available to everyone. The matcha latte, in particular, became a symbol of matcha's versatility. While traditionalists may have frowned upon the addition of milk and sugar, the latte format made matcha accessible to a new generation of drinkers. It allowed people to experience the flavor of matcha without having to know anything about the intricate tea ceremony or the traditional preparation process. It was simple, sweet, and familiar, while still offering all the health benefits of matcha's powdered form. Beyond the coffee shop, matcha found its way into the kitchen, into desserts, smoothies, and even savory dishes. Matcha-flavored ice cream, cookies, cakes, and chocolates became ubiquitous in restaurants and grocery stores across the world. The vibrant green powder was no longer just a beverage, it had become a culinary ingredient. Chefs and home cooks alike embraced matcha for its unique flavor and color, incorporating it into everything from pastries to salad dressings. Matcha's versatility in the kitchen was part of what made it such an attractive ingredient. It was easy to work with, added a visually striking pop of color, and most importantly, it allowed people to enjoy the health benefits of green tea in many different forms. As a result, matcha moved beyond being just a drink. It became a whole food movement in itself. By the late 2010s, matcha had firmly established itself as a global sensation. Social media platforms like Instagram and Pinterest helped catapult matcha into pop culture, with influencers and food bloggers showcasing the vibrant green powder in every possible form. The hashtag #hashmatcha was used millions of times, and food photos featuring matcha lattes, matcha bowls, and matcha cakes became an essential part of the visual language of the wellness movement. As matcha's popularity grew, it also started to be marketed as a symbol of mindfulness and authenticity. Companies capitalized on its association with Japanese culture, promoting matcha as a product that could help people slow down, focus, and reconnect with themselves. In an increasingly fast-paced world, matcha became synonymous with taking a moment for yourself, a quiet, calming ritual in the midst of chaos. It was a way to step back, take a breath, and experience something that wasn't just about consuming, but about being present. Matcha became a symbol of balance, not just between mind and body, but between nature and the fast-paced modern world. It represented a bridge between ancient tradition and modern convenience, offering people a way to tap into something old and meaningful, while still fitting into their busy, modern lifestyles. As the demand for matcha skyrocketed, so did the conversation around its environmental impact. With more and more consumers seeking sustainably sourced products, matcha's rise to global prominence sparked a need for better transparency in its production. Farmers and producers of matcha began to face increasing pressure to meet the rising demand without sacrificing quality or the environment. In response, the matcha industry began shifting toward more sustainable and ethical practices. Organic matcha, grown without the use of harmful pesticides or synthetic fertilizers, became more widely available. Producers started focusing on environmentally friendly farming techniques, reducing waste and ensuring fair wages for workers. The emphasis on sustainability aligned well with the wellness community's broader focus on mindfulness, health, and responsibility. By the 2020s, matcha had evolved into not just a health food, but a symbol of conscious consumption. People weren't just looking for the benefits of the powdered green tea, they wanted to know the story behind it. They wanted to make sure that the matcha they were drinking was produced ethically and sustainably. This added a layer of responsibility to matcha's global success, ensuring that its rise wasn't just about the trend, but about aligning with a more sustainable and holistic approach to living. In the next chapter, we'll explore how matcha has become more than just a drink. It's a part of the global conversation on wellness, mindfulness, and sustainability. But first, let's pause and reflect on the incredible journey of matcha, from its beginnings in ancient China to its transformation in Japan, and finally to its rise as a worldwide phenomenon. It's amazing to think that something as simple as powdered tea could go from being a monastic tool to a drink that connects people all over the world to a sense of peace, balance, and yes, a little bit of that green magic. Chapter 4. The Future of Matcha from Trend to Tradition. We've seen how matcha evolved from a humble spiritual tool used by monks in ancient China to a sophisticated beverage embraced by the samurai, and later transformed into a wellness trend that's taken the world by storm. Now, as matcha continues to occupy a prominent place in both global wellness culture and culinary scenes, we're left wondering, where does matcha go from here? What's next for this vibrant green powder? In a world constantly on the move, it's easy for food trends to come and go. A few years ago, people were obsessing over kale and quinoa, and now it's all about matcha. But unlike many other food trends, matcha has managed to carve out a place for itself that goes beyond mere trendiness. It's become a staple in the wellness and health community, not just as a drink, but as a symbol of mindfulness, balance, and sustainability. So where does matcha fit into the future? Let's explore that. First off, one thing's for sure, matcha isn't going anywhere. It's no longer just a trend, it's become a core part of the broader mindfulness and wellness movement. As people around the world continue to search for ways to slow down, relax, and find balance in their hectic lives, matcha has found its place as a tool for both physical and mental well-being. And let's face it, in a time when stress is at an all-time high and mental health is an ongoing global conversation, anything that helps us hit pause is bound to have lasting power. But it's not just the health benefits that will keep matcha in the spotlight, it's the experience that people are after. And the act of preparing matcha, the ritual of whisking the vibrant green powder into a smooth, frothy drink, is inherently meditative. It's no surprise that in today's world, where we're constantly distracted by our phones, emails, and notifications, the simple act of making and drinking matcha offers a rare opportunity to step away from the chaos and enjoy a quiet, mindful moment. As more people continue to embrace mindfulness in their everyday lives, matcha will continue to be seen as a vehicle for that experience. The simple, calming act of preparing matcha has the potential to become even more significant in the future, as it resonates with the growing demand for slower, more intentional living. Matcha isn't just a drink, it's an invitation to be present, to breathe, and to take a moment for yourself. One of the most pressing conversations surrounding matcha's future is its environmental and ethical impact. As matcha's popularity skyrockets, so does the demand for the green powder, and with that demand comes the need for sustainable farming practices to ensure the future of matcha production doesn't harm the environment or the farmers who grow it. While matcha is still primarily grown in Japan, other countries have begun cultivating matcha as well, including China, South Korea, and even parts of the United States. But with the increasing demand for matcha, there are concerns about the environmental impact of mass production. Farmers are being encouraged to use organic methods of cultivation, avoiding the use of harmful pesticides and fertilizers that can damage the environment. Ethical practices, fair wages, and better working conditions for matcha farmers are also becoming a point of focus. Luckily, there's a growing trend within the wellness community that aligns perfectly with the philosophy of matcha, sustainability. Consumers today are more conscious than ever about the environmental and social impacts of their food choices. As matcha continues to grow in popularity, this sustainability-driven mindset will likely become even more ingrained in the matcha industry. But matcha's future isn't just about being a drink you sip on quietly at home. As we move into the future, matcha is likely to become an even bigger part of the functional food trend. This is a category of food that not only provides basic nutrition, but also offers additional health benefits. For example, functional foods include things like chia seeds, turmeric, and spirulina, all of which are known for their positive effects on health, from anti-inflammatory properties to digestive health benefits. Matcha, with its high levels of antioxidants, anti-inflammatory properties, and potential cognitive benefits, is a natural fit for this growing category. We've already seen it pop up in everything from matcha smoothies and energy bars to matcha-infused skincare products. And it's not just a passing phase. As functional foods continue to evolve, matcha's potential applications are endless. In the future, we could see even more matcha-based products hit the market. From matcha-based meal replacements to powdered supplements, the health and wellness benefits of matcha will continue to be marketed as essential parts of a healthy, balanced lifestyle. The more we learn about matcha's benefits, the more we'll see it integrated into the daily routines of health-conscious individuals worldwide. Matcha could easily expand into an even broader array of food products, beverages, and supplements, becoming a staple ingredient in kitchens, wellness centers, and even beauty routines. So matcha's future isn't just about being the next big thing in wellness, it's about transforming into a cultural icon as it's embraced by more and more people across the globe. Matcha's rich history and spiritual significance give it a unique place in global culture, and in the years to come it will likely continue to evolve as more people discover its origins and deep cultural ties. In the future, matcha will likely take on even more cultural significance as people continue to seek out authentic experiences. The act of preparing matcha, whisking it carefully into a smooth, frothy beverage, could become a form of cultural exploration for people around the world. As global interest in Japanese culture grows, matcha will remain one of the most iconic and accessible ways for people to connect with Japan's rich heritage. In fact, we might even see matcha move beyond the wellness world and into other cultural spaces. Imagine seeing matcha used in innovative art installations or incorporated into global music festivals and performances. Just as sushi, ramen, and sake have become global sensations, matcha may eventually become a cultural staple in the same way. As technology continues to shape the way we live, it's inevitable that the future of matcha will be influenced by technological advancements as well. From innovations in food production to new ways of preparing and consuming matcha, the possibilities are endless. We might soon see new matcha preparation devices that make the whisking process more efficient, or even automated matcha making machines that serve perfect cups every time. On top of that, technology has already made matcha more accessible. Thanks to e-commerce, matcha is available to consumers around the world, and social media has allowed matcha to grow into a global phenomenon. We've seen influencers and bloggers promote matcha-based recipes, health benefits, and the latest matcha trends. In the future, matcha might even benefit from more personalized technology, such as apps that recommend specific matcha-based products based on your health goals or preferences. Finally, one of the most exciting aspects of matcha's future is its potential to bring people together. Despite its roots in Japan, matcha is now enjoyed by people across the globe, transcending cultural boundaries. From the US to Europe to Africa and beyond, matcha has become a drink of unity, offering a shared experience and a moment of mindfulness, no matter where you are in the world. In the years to come, matcha could play an even larger role in global cultural exchange. It could become a symbol of peace, mindfulness, and well-being, representing the way food can bring us together and unite people from all walks of life. So where does matcha go from here? It's clear that its journey is far from over. As matcha continues to evolve and adapt, it's poised to remain a central part of our global culture. From health food to functional beverage, from a spiritual tool to a cultural icon, matcha's future is filled with possibilities. And no matter where it goes, one thing is certain: it will always hold a special place in our hearts, minds, and cups. Chapter 5: The Cultural Impact of Matcha. From east to west, the journey of matcha has been nothing short of extraordinary. From its ancient origins in China to its deeply spiritual practices in Japan, and then its rise as a global wellness phenomenon, matcha has made its way into the hearts and cups of people worldwide. But beyond the commercial success and trendy green lattes, matcha's impact on culture both in the East and the West is what makes its story so fascinating. In Japan, matcha has been a part of the country's fabric for centuries. It's not just a drink, it's a symbol of mindfulness, tranquility, and respect for nature. The tea ceremony, which was perfected by Sen no Rikyu in the 15th century, brought matcha into the spiritual and cultural mainstream. The carefully crafted rituals of whisking and drinking matcha became a way to pause, reflect, and align oneself with the present moment. For the Japanese, the tea ceremony was never just about the beverage itself. It was about the philosophy of tea, the simple beauty of its preparation, and the sense of peace it brought to the mind. Yet, matcha's cultural significance goes beyond Japan. The way in which matcha has been embraced by cultures around the world, especially in the West, highlights how deeply this ancient tradition resonates with people from all walks of life. When matcha first began to surface outside of Japan, it was met with a kind of mystery and intrigue. People were drawn not only to the drink's vibrant color and unique flavor, but also to its cultural context and spiritual roots. In the West, matcha quickly became a symbol of health and wellness. As the global wellness movement gained momentum, matcha found a place in the broader conversation about eating clean, staying healthy, and finding balance in an increasingly chaotic world. It was more than just a trendy superfood. It became an emblem of a mindful lifestyle. Matcha's popularity grew not just because of its antioxidants and health benefits, but because it offered a way to slow down, take a break, and reconnect with the present. In an age of information overload and endless distractions, matcha became a ritualistic pause, a moment of stillness amid the noise. Matcha's embrace in the West has been fueled by its ties to Japanese culture, which many people find captivating and profound. The concept of mindfulness, which is at the core of matcha's history, speaks to a growing desire for balance and presence in our fast-paced world. For many in the West, drinking matcha has become a way to bring more intentionality into their daily routines. It's not just about the beverage, it's about cultivating a moment of peace in the midst of busy lives. Just as yoga and meditation became mainstream in the West over the last few decades, matcha has found its place in the wellness movement as a simple yet profound tool for living a more balanced life. But matcha's cultural impact isn't just limited to its association with wellness. It's also taken on a unique role in pop culture. As matcha has become more ubiquitous, it has transcended the realm of health food and made its way into mainstream consciousness. It's not just something you see in health stores and trendy cafes anymore. It's now part of a global food culture. Matcha has appeared in everything from cosmetics to baked goods, from smoothies to cocktails. The green powder has become a recognizable symbol of health, vitality, and even sophistication. The way matcha has evolved in the West also speaks to a broader cultural shift towards embracing authenticity. In a world that increasingly values organic, sustainable, and locally sourced products, matcha represents a return to simplicity and mindfulness. It's not just another food fad, it's a connection to something more meaningful. The cultural significance of matcha in the West is a reflection of a desire to be more connected to nature, to ancient traditions, and to ourselves. In addition to its growing popularity in cafes and wellness spaces, matcha has also become a cultural symbol for creativity. Many artists and creators have found inspiration in the vivid green color of matcha and its cultural significance. From art installations to food styling, matcha's vibrant hue and the philosophy it represents have been embraced by people looking for inspiration in unexpected places. Matcha's impact is no longer just about what it tastes like. It's become a cultural symbol, an aesthetic, and an inspiration. The rise of matcha in the West is also a testament to the global influence of Japanese culture. From sushi to anime, Japanese culture has long captured the imagination of people all over the world, and matcha is no exception. What's fascinating about matcha's journey is how it's taken on a life of its own outside of Japan. It's no longer just a Japanese drink, it's now a global phenomenon representing everything from wellness to cultural appreciation. As matcha continues to grow in popularity, it's exciting to think about how it will further influence global culture. In the future, matcha could become even more deeply woven into the fabric of daily life around the world. The way people approach matcha today, a beverage that encourages mindfulness, health, and sustainability, could very well inspire future generations to embrace these values in new and innovative ways. Matcha's role as a cultural icon is also marked by its ability to adapt. It's no longer just about sipping a traditional bowl of tea at a formal ceremony. Matcha is now part of a modern global lifestyle, and its versatility is one of the reasons it has endured. It's found in everything from matcha-infused skincare products to matcha-flavored cakes, ice cream, and even pasta. This adaptability speaks to matcha's universal appeal, whether you're someone looking for a calming, mindful experience or a foodie seeking out a new flavor to experiment with. Matcha offers something for everyone, but as matcha continues to evolve, it's important to remember its roots. At its core, matcha is a drink that's deeply connected to Japanese culture and Zen Buddhist philosophy. It represents a way of life, one that values simplicity, mindfulness, and respect for nature. Even as matcha becomes more popular and widespread, it's crucial that its cultural and spiritual origins are preserved and honored. The future of matcha lies in its ability to stay true to these traditions while continuing to evolve and resonate with people from all walks of life. Matcha is more than just a drink, it's a cultural movement. It's a reminder that even in a fast-paced, chaotic world, we can find moments of stillness, clarity, and connection. From its early origins in China to its role in Japanese spiritual practices and now to its place in global culture, matcha has become a symbol of mindfulness, health, and authenticity. It's a cultural bridge that connects people across time and space, uniting them through a shared appreciation for simplicity, beauty, and balance. So where does matcha go from here? With its rich cultural history, its growing role in global wellness, and its ability to adapt to new trends, matcha is poised to continue being a powerful influence in the years to come. Whether it's in a cafe in Tokyo, a yoga studio in New York, or a health-conscious kitchen in Los Angeles, matcha is here to stay, offering a reminder of the importance of slowing down, staying present, and appreciating the simple pleasures of life. Chapter 6. The science behind matcha, health benefits and nutritional value. By now, we've seen how matcha has evolved from a humble tea used by monks in ancient China to a globally beloved drink, steeped in cultural and spiritual significance. But aside from its rich history and cultural resonance, matcha has also earned its place in the wellness world for its impressive health benefits. It's not just the vibrant green color that makes matcha stand out. It's also what's packed inside every green powdery particle. Matcha is unique because, unlike regular green tea, you're consuming the entire tea leaf. When you drink matcha, you're not steeping a bag or loose-leaf tea and then tossing it away. Instead, you're whisking finely ground green tea powder into water or milk, meaning all the nutrients, antioxidants, and compounds that naturally occur in the leaf stay in the drink. This simple difference is what gives matcha such a distinct health edge over other teas and even other wellness products. So what makes matcha so healthy? Let's break it down. One of the standout features of matcha is its high concentration of antioxidants. These powerful compounds help combat oxidative stress in the body, which can lead to premature aging and the development of chronic diseases. Specifically, matcha is rich in a type of antioxidant called catechins, especially one called epigallocatechin gallate, or EGCG. EGCG has been studied for its potential to help fight free radicals in the body and may even have cancer-fighting properties. What makes matcha particularly special is that it has a higher concentration of antioxidants compared to regular green tea. This is because the entire leaf is consumed rather than just the water-soluble parts of it. In fact, matcha has up to 137 times more antioxidants than regular green tea, making it one of the best sources of antioxidants available in any drink. But the benefits of matcha don't stop at antioxidants. Matcha is also packed with nutrients, including a range of vitamins and minerals like vitamin C, selenium, chromium, zinc, and magnesium. These micronutrients contribute to everything from immune support to healthy skin. And because matcha is made from young, tender tea leaves, it retains all of these nutrients in their most bioavailable form. One of the key health benefits that many people seek from matcha is its ability to boost energy and focus. Unlike coffee, which often gives you a quick burst of energy followed by a crash, matcha provides a sustained, calm alertness. This is due to the combination of caffeine and L-theanine, an amino acid found in the tea leaves. L-theanine promotes relaxation without drowsiness and works to counterbalance the jitteriness that can come from caffeine. The caffeine in matcha is absorbed more slowly by the body because of the presence of L-theanine, which helps prevent the typical caffeine crash. As a result, matcha provides a smooth, sustained energy boost that can help improve focus and concentration. making it a perfect drink for anyone needing mental clarity, whether you're studying for exams, working on a project, or just trying to stay sharp throughout the day. Matcha's ability to enhance focus and clarity goes hand in hand with its stress-relieving properties. L-theanine also has been shown to promote the production of alpha waves in the brain, which are associated with a relaxed meditative state. It's not hard to see why matcha became the drink of choice for Zen monks. They were looking for a way to stay awake and alert during their meditations without sacrificing the calm, centered state required for deep focus. In addition to boosting mental clarity and focus, matcha has been linked to weight loss. Matcha contains compounds that can help increase metabolism and fat burning. One of these compounds is EGCG, which has been shown to promote fat oxidation. Some studies have even suggested that consuming matcha can increase the body's ability to burn calories during exercise. It's not just about burning fat. Matcha has been shown to help with endurance during physical activity as well. One study found that people who consumed matcha before exercising burned 25% more fat during exercise compared to those who consumed a placebo. This makes matcha a great addition to any workout routine, not just for the energy boost, but also for its potential to help you get the most out of your exercise session. Beyond that, matcha's ability to promote fat burning and improve metabolic function has led many to include it as part of a healthy weight management strategy. It's no surprise, then, that matcha has found a place in many wellness communities as a natural, healthy way to enhance fitness goals. But the benefits of matcha aren't just limited to weight management and energy boosts. One of the most fascinating health benefits of matcha is its ability to support cardiovascular health. Several studies have suggested that matcha can help reduce the risk of heart disease by lowering blood pressure, reducing cholesterol, and improving overall cardiovascular function. The polyphenols in matcha, especially EGCG, are thought to be the primary contributors to these heart-healthy effects. Matcha is also said to help with blood sugar regulation. Some studies have shown that drinking matcha regularly can help improve insulin sensitivity, which can play a crucial role in preventing diabetes. While matcha isn't a cure-all, incorporating it into a balanced diet may help improve your body's ability to regulate blood sugar levels, which can contribute to overall metabolic health. For those looking for skin benefits, matcha's high levels of antioxidants can also help protect the skin from the damaging effects of UV rays. EGCG has been shown to protect the skin from oxidative stress caused by UV exposure, helping to reduce wrinkles, fine lines, and sun damage over time. Drinking matcha regularly or applying it topically in the form of skincare products could potentially promote healthier, more youthful skin. As if that wasn't enough, matcha is also believed to have detoxifying properties. The chlorophyll in matcha, the substance that gives it its vibrant green color, is known for its ability to help the body detoxify by removing heavy metals and harmful toxins. Matcha is grown in the shade, which increases the chlorophyll content in the leaves, making it one of the most effective natural detoxifiers. By drinking matcha, you're not only giving your body a healthy dose of antioxidants and nutrients, you're also helping it flush out unwanted toxins. This detoxifying effect is one of the reasons matcha has become so popular as a cleansing and rejuvenating drink. Many wellness enthusiasts swear by a daily cup of matcha to help purify the body and keep the digestive system functioning optimally. Finally, the benefits of matcha extend to mental health as well. Studies have shown that matcha can help reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression due to its calming effects. The combination of caffeine and L-theanine in matcha provides a balanced effect, energizing without overstimulation, calming without causing drowsiness. This unique combination helps maintain a stable mood, allowing for both relaxation and focus without the emotional highs and lows that come with other caffeinated beverages. Matcha's impact on mental well-being, combined with its wide range of other health benefits, is why it continues to be embraced by so many people. Whether you're drinking it for its antioxidants, its calming effects, or its ability to support overall health, matcha offers something for everyone. It's not just about the physical benefits, it's about achieving a balanced, mindful state of mind, which is why matcha continues to resonate with so many people today. And there you have it, folks. From its deep roots in the ancient traditions of China and Japan to its rise as a global wellness phenomenon, we've seen how matcha has transformed over centuries. It's incredible to think how this humble green powder has journeyed from the sacred tea ceremonies of Zen monks to your favorite cafes and health food stores today. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the science behind matcha and its impressive health benefits, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more fascinating health and cultural explorations. Also, I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite way to enjoy matcha? Or maybe there's a matcha recipe you've been wanting to try? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and sticking with me through this exploration of matcha's health benefits and cultural significance. Until next time, stay curious, stay balanced, and remember, matcha isn't just a drink, it's a journey of wellness in every cup. Catch you in the next video.